Hello, in today's video, we will explore what might have happened if the John F. Kennedy assassination attempt had failed. Before we get into it, if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. On a chilly November afternoon in 1963, the vibrant city of Dallas was buzzing with excitement. Crowds gathered along the streets, eagerly awaiting the arrival of the charismatic and youthful President John F. Kennedy. As his motorcade wound through the city, waves of applause and cheers followed, a testament to the magnetism of a man who had come to symbolize hope and progress for millions. John F. Kennedy, often referred to simply as JFK, was more than just the 35th President of the United States. Born into one of America's most prominent families, he was a Harvard-educated war hero who had braved the perils of the Pacific during World War II. His journey to the White House was marked by a dynamic blend of charm, eloquence, and a vision for a brighter future. He captivated the nation with his stirring inaugural address, calling citizens to ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Kennedy's presidency, though tragically cut short, was a period of immense transformation and ambition. He championed civil rights, advocating for the end of racial segregation and pushing for legislation that would pave the way for equality. His administration also laid the groundwork for what would become the Civil Rights Act of 1964. On the international stage, Kennedy's leadership was put to the test during some of the most perilous moments of the Cold War. The Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962 was perhaps his most critical challenge. For 13 tense days, the world teetered on the brink of nuclear war as the U.S. confronted the Soviet Union over the installation of nuclear missiles in Cuba. Kennedy's deft diplomacy and determination averted catastrophe, leading to the eventual dismantling of the missiles. Kennedy was also a visionary when it came to space exploration. He famously declared that America would put a man on the moon by the end of the decade, a bold statement that ignited the nation's imagination and ambition. This commitment culminated in the historic Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969, a fulfillment of his dream and a monumental achievement for humanity. As the motorcade turned onto Dealey Plaza, the sound of 3 gunshots shattered the jubilant atmosphere. Chaos erupted as the realization sank in. President Kennedy had been shot. Rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital, doctors fought desperately to save him, but the wounds were fatal. John F. Kennedy was pronounced dead at 1 p.m., sending shockwaves of grief and disbelief across the nation and the world. But what if that day in Dallas had unfolded differently? What if Kennedy had survived the assassination attempt? In our alternate reality, President Kennedy's motorcade narrowly avoids disaster. As the shots ring out, a quick-thinking Secret Service agent shields Kennedy, taking the bullet that might have ended the president's life. The nation watches in suspense as Kennedy, injured but alive, is rushed to the hospital. The nation breathes a collective sigh of relief as the news breaks. Kennedy will survive. His return to the Oval Office is met with an outpouring of support, his resolve and determination only strengthened by the ordeal. With renewed vigor, Kennedy throws his weight behind the civil rights movement. His first-hand brush with mortality deepens his commitment to justice and equality. By 1964, he manages to pass a comprehensive Civil Rights Act, building on the foundation he had already laid. This act not only prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, but also ensures voting rights, strengthens enforcement, and provides federal support for desegregation efforts. The earlier passage of such a robust act accelerates the momentum of the civil rights movement, leading to greater strides in racial equality throughout the decade. Kennedy's survival also impacts America's involvement in Vietnam. With a second term secured, he shifts his focus towards diplomatic solutions rather than military escalation. He increases support for South Vietnam, but remains wary of full-scale military involvement. His administration explores avenues for peace talks, aiming to resolve the conflict without plunging deeper into war. This approach not only saves countless lives, but also alters the trajectory of U.S. foreign policy, fostering a more cautious and diplomatic stance in future conflicts. Kennedy's vision for space exploration continues to inspire. In 1964, he announces an ambitious plan to establish a permanent lunar base, envisioning it as a stepping stone for future manned missions to Mars. His commitment ensures sustained funding for NASA, resulting in rapid technological advancements. By the early 1970s, the first astronauts set foot on Mars, fulfilling a dream that once seemed far-fetched. This monumental achievement propels humanity into a new era of exploration and discovery. On the domestic front, Kennedy's administration spearheads initiatives to combat poverty and improve education. He introduces comprehensive healthcare reforms, expanding access and affordability. His focus on science and technology leads to significant investments in research and development, spurring innovation across various fields. The American economy experiences sustained growth, driven by advancements in technology and infrastructure. Internationally, Kennedy's survival fosters a climate of détente with the Soviet Union. Building on the resolution of the Cuban Missile Crisis, he engages in a series of high-level talks with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev. These efforts culminate in the signing of several key treaties, including a nuclear test ban treaty and agreements on arms reduction. The easing of Cold War tensions creates a more stable and cooperative global environment, paving the way for future diplomatic successes. Kennedy's influence extends beyond politics and policy. His enduring charisma and vision inspire a cultural renaissance in America. The arts, literature, and music flourish, reflecting the optimism and creativity of the era. His speeches and public addresses become touchstones of American rhetoric, quoted and revered for generations.